Hello, my name is Dr. Yalinu Poya, and I'm a proud Papua New Guinean woman. I'm from a mixed parentage of Southern Highlands Province and Juaka Province, but I consider myself as a Morabian girl because I was born and raised in the beautiful Morabian Province, and I am just pleased for this opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Um, a little bit about myself. I am a scientist. I'm a scientist. My background is in chemistry, and I'm currently an assistant professor of chemistry teaching at Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States. So I've been there for a little bit over a year, and I'm just here for holidays, and it's lovely to meet with you in person to just have this little chat, I should say.
Can you share a little about your journey from Lae and Port Moresby to becoming an internationally recognized scientist?
Thank you. Well, I would say, of course, I had some humble beginnings. Being born and raised, I was born at Angkor Memorial Hospital. I lived in Leh all my life till I went to university. So I did my primary education from prep to grade 9 at the International School of Leh. I think now it's Lae International School. Then from grade 10 to 12, I moved across to Coronation International School, which is now, of course, a branch of Lae International School. And I did all my primary and high school education in Leh. And then in 2007, I received an offer to go to the University of Papua New Guinea, where I came across here to Port Moresby, and I studied at the Waigani campus. I did my Bachelor of Science in chemistry, major in chemistry. So after graduation, I did a little bit of work. I worked with Beltec Chemicals. I worked as a scientist working in the quality control section. Then from there, I moved across to Porgera Gold Mine, where I worked in the processing department as a quality control person and at the same time as a process technician. So I worked in the autoclave section where we looked at pressure, of course, using pressure and steam and heat and all of these different components to process the gold that was, of course, extracted from Porgera. After working there for almost up to 2 years, I got a scholarship and I went across to the People's Republic of China, where I studied at the Northeast Normal University in the city of Changchun, which is located in Jilin province. And straight from there, after I spent 2 years studying in China on a full scholarship, I received my Master's of Science in Inorganic Chemistry. I graduated with distinction. From there, I moved across to the University of Glasgow, which is in the United Kingdom, where I began my PhD journey. So I did my Doctor of Philosophy in Chemistry, of course, majoring in inorganic chemistry, but my specialty is in heterogeneous catalysis. So after graduating from there, I secured a job with the University of Glasgow. I worked as a lecturer. After I spent a little bit of time with the University of Glasgow, I moved across to the University of West of Scotland, where I worked as a lecturer as well. And then from there, I moved across to the United States, where currently I'm with Wentworth Institute of Technology in Boston, Massachusetts, where I am holding the position of assistant professor. So when I look back on my life, it's been a wonderful journey. A small girl from Leh, of course, and now I'm in the United States. So it's been quite rewarding.
So, what inspired you to pursue chemistry, and how did your upbringing in PNG shape your academic path?
So chemistry is something that, of course, all my life, especially when I was a very young girl, I was always fascinated by science. So I did very well in all my science subjects when I was in school. And when I went to grade 7, that was when I did my first chemistry lesson, where I had a teacher who taught us how to do some titration when we were learning about acids and bases. Now, the first time we did the experiments, and when I saw the color change, when two different solutions were being mixed, my mind was blown. So when my mind was gone, I was like, this is incredible. What is this? So I started inquiring and asking more questions. And then my science teacher told me that this is the magic of chemistry. It's magical, isn't it? And I thought to myself, this is incredible. And I started to be, of course, intrigued with chemistry specifically. But even prior to that, when I was very young, maybe between the ages of 5 and 10, I did a lot of experiments, I should say, bush experiments, if I could put it that way, in my mom's backyard, back in Lae, where I experimented mixing different solutions and at the same time playing around with different soils and compositions. And I tried to make things like my own popcorn, and I built a lot of things with my hands. So I was a curious girl while growing up. So the interest was there at a very young age. And then when I went to grade 7 at the age of 12 years old, that was when I discovered my interest in chemistry. So throughout my time as, of course, as an adolescent, through to my teenage years, I was mentored by my teachers, and all my science teachers were wonderful and brilliant and very smart Papua New Guinean men who encouraged me, and they told me that, you can do great things, you can become a great scientist. A lot of them told me that it's either you can go into the field of medicine to become a medical doctor, or we see you as somebody that could be, of course, a proper scientist. So with that, of course, motivation and inspiration from my teachers, and of course my parents. My parents played an important role as well, of course, in nurturing my education. I would say my father is my hero. He is the very one that really pushed me at a very young age. So fathers have a special relationship with their daughters. So he actually pushed me and said, you know what, you can do something great. And he was even the one that introduced, saying that after bachelor's, you can go to your master's and master's PhD. So he set the path out for me, sort of like a mind map. So I stuck to it at a very young age. And this brought me through all my years. And I am now who I am today because of wonderful Papua New Guinean men, from, of course, my teachers at school, and of course, my loving father.
Looking back, what challenges did you face as a Papua New Guinean woman in STEM, and how did you overcome them?
So first of all, when I'll just go back a little bit. When I was in high school and I was, filling up my school leavers form, I told my father that I wanted to, I was telling the options that I said first choice, of course, UPNG, Science Foundation. My second choice was, of course, applied science at Unitech, and my third choice was at Polytechnical College in Lae. So I also wanted to take applied science. So when I had all of these applied sciences and I discussed it with my father, the first thing my father said was, what type of jobs are out there in Papua New Guinea? Do you see some science, like some science industries, or there's some fancy technologies where you would be actually, of course, you see, like he was thinking about my job security. So at first I didn't understand, because the passion that I had for science was there, but that was the thing that my father said. He said, what jobs can you find in Papua New Guinea if you follow your passion in science? So that sort of like gave me a reality check, like, okay, what are my career options? So that was a part of it, like the different things that hindrances, I should say, when I faced while I was really, of course, motivated to take up a STEM subject or specialize in a STEM area. So it was only when I started, of course, going to the labs, and I was a student, I was realizing one thing, that I wasn't seeing much female scientists. So I just saw males only. All my lecturers were males, my professors were males. And it sort of like set me back, thinking that, okay, if if I'm just seeing a lot of my male colleagues, my classmates, is there going to be any because we come from Papua New Guinea, it's a male-dominated society, so my mindset has already been set in a way, or influenced at a very young age, that it's a man's world. So when I saw this, it sort of like sort of made me have a little bit of doubts. But I thought to myself that if I have a passion, and if there is a will, there is a way. So I would be, of course, able to specialize in my field. And I believe that, of course, anything is possible. The world is out there. So I was ready to conquer it. So I just went ahead, even though I didn't see any physical female role models or physical scientists around me, or met people face to face. I just encouraged myself, and I pushed on with it.
Who have been your biggest influences or mentors along the way?
Influences and mentors, I would say, of course, first and foremost, my wonderful teachers. Some are still around, but a lot of them are retired. Some have passed away just recently, and I'm very sad. To name a few, some of my wonderful teachers are Mr. John Lanta. I think he's from Irinjaya. He is around. He's currently, I believe he's at Unitech. Mr. Justin Keta, my grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12 science teacher. He even taught me for chemistry and biology. He's from the Kariku district in the central province, but sadly he's passed away. Another teacher of mine is Mr. Douglas None. He's from the Chimbu province, so he was my grade 7, grade 8 teacher. Mr. John Kama as well, also from the Chimbu province. So these Papua New Guinean teachers were my actual cheerleaders, those who really, really, really supported me and really encouraged me. And they were the ones that were pushing me to excel. But in terms of people that I haven't met, but maybe I've admired from afar, I would say, of course, Marie Curie, which is one of the world's most powerful and great scientist. She's the only person in the whole world that has received 2 Nobel Prizes, one in physics and one in chemistry. Then, of course, looking around, of course, you see people on the television and some scientists, Nobel Prize winners. I follow them a lot. So they have inspired me. But if I were to relate it to the context of like a fellow Papua New Guinean or a Pacific Islander, I didn't have much role models, but I would say it was my teachers in school that inspired me the most.
Okay, we'll come now to the role of science, technology, and innovation. Uh, Dr. Poya, your research focuses on green chemistry and sustainable catalysis. How relevant are these innovations to Papua New Guinea's future, especially in areas like food security, agriculture, climate change?
Oh, it is highly relevant. It is highly relevant. Sometimes when we talk about green chemistry or sustainable development, a lot of times people think that it's mainly to do with the Western countries or, the developed world. But chemistry is all around us. Chemistry is in our food, it is in our water, it is in our clothes, it is in textiles, paints. Everything is chemistry. Now, when we look at in terms of sustainable development, right now our country, of course, is part of the Pacific Island nations, and if you look around, we are experiencing, of course, severe weather changes or climate change issues. One of the effects that, of course, is visible around us, especially as small island nations, is, of course, the rise of sea levels. With the rise of sea levels, our islands are sinking. So when people think about green chemistry and sustainable development, they think that, oh, it's something to do with industries. It's got nothing to do with us. But it's got everything to do with us. Because when we have these CO2 emissions or these greenhouse gases that, of course, are all part and parcel of this climate effects or climate change issues, it affects us. But one thing that people are now starting to learn is that even though we are a small country, we as the Pacific Island nations, we are the ones that experience the effects of climate change. We are the ones that experience it the very worst one compared to other countries. Because, of course, we live in the sea, we live in the blue Pacific, and then when the sea level rises, our islands sink. We face problems like salination of our water sources, the pH changes in our soil, so food's a little bit difficult to grow, and so on. So, in the field of green chemistry, I will just give a bit of context on my background and how I work. So I'm currently, of course, I've got a whole bunch of areas of focus of which I'm focusing my research on. One of the areas that I'm looking at is biofuels. Biofuels are basically fuels that are stemming from, of course, organic sources. One area of research that I'm stemming into right now, I'm focusing on just now is converting waste kitchen products like cooking oil, vegetable peelings, and so on to convert it into fuels that could be used for vehicles. When we're looking at these things, another thing that I'm looking at is, of course, my ammonia research. I'm trying to build a small micro scale and also a small plant, ammonia plant that uses the sunlight and water as sources of energy. And ammonia is, of course, one of the key ingredients that is used in fertilizers. And I'm also looking at different pollution pollutants. Now, sometimes when I speak about my research, and if from a layman's point of view, a lot of people say that what's that got to do with Papua New Guinea? It has a lot to do with Papua New Guinea because now our population, I think it's around 10 million or so. Our population is increasing. A lot of our soils is not, of course, conducive to grow crops to feed our population. So we need them to be, of course, conditioned to grow. So this is where fertilizers come in place. Now, in terms of green chemistry, as part and parcel of my work, I am trying to look into ways of which we can lower CO2 emissions. So this can also, in a way, try to hinder or even slow down the effects of climate change that us as Pacific Island nations are facing. So currently, my area of work is look at these areas of green chemistry, sustainable development, clean technologies, and also biofuels.
Do you think Papua New Guinea has invested enough in science and research over the past 50 years?
To be honest with you, I would say no. So, because a lot of times we say we are a small country, we're still developing, and but sometimes I believe that we always use that as an excuse because if you look at yourself, like in terms of like, let's just say a human being, at the age of 50, you would expect them to be financially secure, at least have like a permanent place to live in, a source of income, because when you look at a 50-year-old person, this person is a matured person. So right now, of course, we are going into our 50th anniversary. Now, I myself, I am a proud Papua New Guinean, a very, very proud Papua New Guinean. On two occasions, I had the chance of changing my citizenship, but I refused. So I still hold my Papua New Guinean passport because I believe that, of course, one day I will come back and develop my country, of which I, for me, for my personal goals, is maybe a little bit down the line, maybe a few years later, I plan to return. But when I look at science and technology, of course, our governments are focused on, basic things such as, of course, infrastructure, health, schools. We're just trying to get the basics right. So science and technology is something that is sort of like put to the back seat. So it's not something that is on the list of things that, like, on the list of things of priority. It's not in the top 10, I should say. But I believe that, of course, if we get the basics right, like we try to, of course, make sure that we've got proper electricity, fresh, clean water, our schools are well equipped, our hospitals are also, of course, well able to take care of our sick people. If we get the basics right, once that is out of the way, I believe that Papua New Guinea, of course, has potential to go into the area of science and technology. A lot of times we say that, oh, we're just a small Pacific Island nation, or we're just, we're under the list of developing nations, so it's got nothing to do with us. But if you look at it carefully, Papua New Guinea has so much potential. We have lush rainforests that a lot of times, sometimes I personally think that our rainforest houses plants or animals that have the cure to HIV and AIDS, cancer, or whatever illnesses you name it. We've got so much resources. Even our sea is bountiful. Our people are some of the most intelligent people in the world. I'm telling you, Papua New Guineans are very smart people. But of course, we don't have the opportunities to, of course, to utilize what God has blessed us with. But for me personally, even now we're going to be turning 50 years old. I believe that somewhere down the line, there could be some positive change.
So, how can Papua New Guinea better nurture young scientists, innovators, and researchers over the next 50 years?
As I mentioned before, Papua New Guineans are some of the most smartest people on the face of this earth. We are natural innovators. Papua New Guineans are some of the most smartest people on earth. We are natural innovators. We're very smart. We are problem solvers. And I know that we have so much potential. It is just that we need opportunities. Now, of course, the first place that we can get opportunities from, is for government to provide opportunities. But since our government is focused on other areas of priority, and at the same time, there's so many things going on at the same time, I believe that maybe if we have some connections, or maybe some exchange programs, or maybe some opportunities with much developed countries such as Japan. Japan is, of course, one of the main leaders in STEM, technology, engineering, and of course science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Countries, European countries like Germany, France. At the same time, of course, places like the United States. Australia is also doing very well. If we have some type of connections with, of course, these developed nations from abroad, probably through scholarships, research fellowships, or any type of partnerships. I believe that this can nurture, of course, more scientists, because we have everything. We have everything. In terms of natural products, we've got rainforests, we've got our sea, and we've got naturally smart Papua New Guineans. It's just that we lack, of course, the, I would say, like to put it in a chemistry context, fully funded or fully equipped science labs. We don't have the latest technologies to teach our children, and that's the only thing that's lacking. If we get the chance of getting these things, we will just go beyond. We will even be competing with others. Just to give an example, if you look at Lae Secondary School, they have a robotics lab. Can you imagine a robotics lab? Wow, they are competing with others, and I think just recently they must have finished in the top 50 or top 30. This is something for us to be proud of. And these are high school students taught by Papua New Guinean teachers with our Papua New Guinean curriculum. So we're naturally smart. We just need, of course, opportunity. Sometimes the government might think that, of course, we're putting priority in other areas, but if we just put some little money, of course, in higher education, and at the same time, of course, in research and technology or innovation, we will just take off.
And on that note, what are your comments on the government's STEM program, under which the best grade 12 students are being sent to universities in the US, China?
Oh, I love
India?
it. I love it. This is something that when I first saw it, I said, I mean, I'm going to be very honest. I'm a Papua New Guinean woman, so I'm all right to free my mind, speak freely, sorry. So when I first saw it, I'm like, this is one thing that our government got right. That's one of the great things that we could ever do, invest in our human resources. A lot of times we boast that we've got gold, oil, gas, all of these resources, right? But what about our human resources? If these resources run out, then what's going to happen to our children, our people, for future generations to come? So we must equip our next engineers, our next scientists, our next mathematicians, our next innovators. So when I saw that, I was very, very, very happy. And I live in the United States, but where I live in Massachusetts, which is a little bit far from, some of these universities. Like I think there's some students in South Dakota, or
I think North and South
North
Dakota.
and South Dakota. It is very far from where I live. If it was close by, I will go and I'll visit them, but it's too far. But when I see this, and when I saw some snippets of videos of them, like, of course, going in the bus and going for the campus tours, my heart was just elated, because this is something that is great. Because if you see the United States, China, Japan, these are giants in STEM. So for our students to go and get trained there and then come back and give to our people, that is something that is wonderful.
So what lessons can Papua New Guinea learn from countries you've studied and worked in, like China, the UK, and now the US?
Sorry, come again, what?
What lessons can Papua New Guinea learn from countries that you've studied and worked in, like China, the United Kingdom, and now the USA?
So for me, my lessons, I would say, for the three places that I lived in, China, United Kingdom, and the USA, of these three people, I would say that the most hardworking people that I've met in my entire life are the Chinese people. They work non-stop, and they're very, very, very persistent. They are people who are always after results. If they fail, they don't sit, they don't sulk, they immediately re-strategize, go to plan B, plan C, plan D, whatever it is, and they just shoot for the stars. So when I lived in China, I see that they've got really tough work ethics. They're people who don't give up easily. They are always after results, and they're very persistent. Now, when I moved to the United Kingdom, I saw that people in the United Kingdom are people who work smart, not hard. So they try to, of course, think of things in a strategic way. So when I was in China, I saw that they just did everything as long as they got results. But people in the United Kingdom, they were strategic thinkers. They sat down, they thought what to do next, or whatever it is, that the plan that they had, and then they thought that, okay, if I go this direction, if it works out, if it doesn't work out, what do I go next? So they were strategic thinkers. So that caused them to, of course, work less hours, but they produced results. Okay, so now that I'm at the United States, I see that they're a bit of both, because as a professor in the United States, I work very long hours, 60, 70 hours a week. So, but if we look at all three countries together, they are people who are, they have these three characters that I would say is mainly persistency. They're always determined, and at the same time they're disciplined and consistent. So we've got these four characters. And another thing, I would say the most important one, one of the skills that I've seen being practiced with those in the STEM fields across these three countries is they are very people that use their time wisely. They're really good at time management. They don't just mess around, or if they see that they have a little bit of time left, they do, procrastinate. They really use their time wisely. So I believe that if you have certain traits like this, then you can do very well in any field, not only in STEM, but in anything. Because a lot of times people think that, oh, I need resources, or it's probably because I'm not smart enough. But I believe that if you just have these characters of being disciplined, consistent, determined, and also you manage your time very wisely, you can do many things, many things.
Okay, we'll come to the next lot of questions. Papua New Guinea's place in the world. How important is it for PNG to have a voice in global conversations about climate change, sustainability, and renewable energy?
Very important, because Papua New Guinea is a giant in the Pacific. If you look at all of our Pacific neighbor island countries, or our one talks or one Solwaras, I should say, they're all small island nations and they have like a small population. Papua New Guinea, we're a giant in the Pacific. Plus, we have all the resources. So for us, we're a little bit okay. Even though we're experiencing some effects of climate change, it's not as bad as compared to others. So Papua New Guinea, as a giant in the Pacific, other small Pacific island nations like Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, they all look to us to be a voice in a public arena or a global arena, speaking to people or speaking to governments or big organizations, or at these meetings for the climate change, whatever meetings we have at the United Nations. These meetings, Papua New Guinea should have a voice when we're trying to speak on behalf of our people, not only in our country but in the neighboring Pacific Island nations as well, for the different effects of climate change that is being faced. So sometimes it's good to have a face. When I speak about a face, I mean that I'm a representative from our governments, but sometimes it will have a little bit more, how should I say, effect if we have some of our scientists, the people who are actually doing something to combat some of these effects of climate change, or people who are looking for different solutions to face towards some of the problems that we face in the world today, to be a voice in these big public meetings, big global meetings, and to speak on behalf of our people. Because if we keep quiet, then things will just go, because right now our world population is going towards 9.5 billion. That is what is being estimated by 2050. So as, of course, our population is increasing, we have more mouths to feed, more resources to dip into, and of course the industries are trying to make money, and our people of the Pacific Islands, including Papua New Guinea, will suffer. So it's very important that we, of course, have a voice in these big global meetings.
Do you see potential for PNG to contribute knowledge and solutions to the global scientific community?
Of course. Papua New Guineans are some of the most smartest people in the whole world, I should say. And I've met a lot of people. But when I look back to my own people, I just think that we are very gifted, naturally smart. We're innovators. We see something and we can make it with our bare hands. So we have so much to offer. And particularly one other thing that we have that is at our fingertips is our lush rainforest. We've got a lot of things that are yet to be discovered, and these can also solve some of the problems that we face in terms of course, pharmaceuticals, or things that are looking at food security or medicines or anything. So when it comes to, of course, us Papua New Guineans, of course, being a voice towards coming up with ideas towards solutions towards global problems, 100%, in fact, 200%. I believe that we can, of course, be a voice to contribute ideas, because we've got a lot of smart people around. It's just that we don't have enough infrastructure in the area of STEM to, of course, publish papers, get patents, because these are the things that, of course, are going to make the world pay attention to you. But even right now, as we're in 2025, I am seeing, of course, I see some of my colleagues that I went to school with at the University of Papua New Guinea publishing papers in big journals. You know, they worked at Goroka Institute of Medical Research and different parts. So it makes me proud, because I know that even though it's very slow, we will eventually get there. But even just now too, we can contribute as well.
So what role can PNG's unique biodiversity and traditional knowledge play in global science and innovation?
Great role, because right now people are looking for nature-based solutions. So a lot of times, when people think that in the world of science, or in the world of STEM, I should say, they think that you have to come up with something that is fancy, or some special machine that when you press a button, then you get all of these wonderful products. But right now, people are thinking towards looking at sustainable solutions or nature-based solutions. Now, we've got a lot of resources, we've got a lot of things that are available, of course, that we can use these as potential for solving some of these problems that we are facing in our world today. So we've got a lot to offer. We've got these different plants, different animals. They can, of course, carry some special type of chemicals that we don't know, that can be, of course, the things that could cure things like cancer or any other diseases that we know. So we do have potential.
Okay, we'll come to the last bit now. Reflections on Papua New Guinea at 50 years. Papua New Guinea is celebrating 50 years of independence in 2025. What emotions does this milestone bring to you personally?
Well, I'm very proud of my country, that we've come a long way. Looking back, I remember when I was a small girl back in Lae, would carry up Papua New Guinean flags and wave it, and I was so proud, and I still am today. I still am proud of my country, but I believe that we still have a long way to go. Sometimes when I do personal reflections, because I was born in the year 1989, so I grew up in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. A lot of the stuff that we had back then, life was good. But looking towards what things are just now, it makes me a little bit sad that instead of progressing, we're sort of regressing, and there's a lot of back and forths, people's mentality. We've got, all sorts of funny things happening as well. But for me, I personally, I believe that there is potential, because right now we've got a younger generation that's coming up, and I believe that, of course, they could be the future of Papua New Guinea, that would carry this country into glorious years for the next 50 years. So even though, yes, we've got our problems, I'm an optimistic person, so I believe that there would be some positive change. But for me personally, I would say the change starts with us, because a lot of times I see that my own people, my own Papua New Guinean people, we just need to open our minds, and at the same time polish a little bit of our attitudes and behaviors. I would say something as small as spitting betel nuts on the side of the road when the place is already clean. You see someone clean the place and you are just spitting betel nuts again. I don't understand this. Or just smoking and throwing things, or basic things is littering. If we can be responsible people, or we can correct our attitudes or mindsets, we can take this country into, we can make it into the next Singapore, or a great country.
When you look at PNG today compared to when you were growing up, what stands out to you most in terms of progress and change?
So progress and change, of course, right now we are living in a world where we have technology. So when I grew up in the 90s, the only technology we had was the television, but now everyone has, of course, social media and different things at the tip of their fingertips, which is great. That's in terms of progress. I'm seeing a lot of course, infrastructure. We have a lot of elites in our country. We've got a big population that is highly educated. At the same time, too, there's many different developments, but also there are some areas that make me a little bit sad. But I believe when I compare it to the time we grew up in Papua New Guinea, life was good in Papua New Guinea. Our 100 kina had a lot of value. You would buy a lot of things. Now the cost of prices has gone up. A lot of people are living in poverty. We still haven't improved things such as the basic minimum wage. So when we don't take care of our people or govern our country very well, it can cause, of course, all of these law and order issues that we're currently facing today. So these are some of the things that I've seen. But apart from that, I see that we are progressing in terms of, education. We're going in the right direction because there's more Papua New Guineans being educated, coming out of university. Now we have to find jobs, but Papua New Guinea, I'm very optimistic, as I mentioned before. We will go, we will enter our glorious years. So, no doubt.
Conversely, what areas do you feel our nation has struggled with or fallen short in?
So, for me, I would say our nation has fallen short in taking care of its workers because 3 kina 50 toya per hour minimum wage, that is not enough. Someone cannot even buy a bag of rice or yet alone send the kids to school. So that is one of the things that I believe that, of course, the country needs to change. Okay, another thing is at the same time too, I believe that we should improve our healthcare system because it is ridiculous that a lot of people are dying from diseases that can be cured. We don't have proper cancer facilities, and cancer is on the rise in Papua New Guinea. People are having kidney problems and heart issues, and you would think by now, as we are turning 50 years old, our hospitals would be equipped because we've got our medical doctors who are very smart people, by the way. But, we just don't have these basic things. Another thing is I would very much like our universities to be more, our infrastructures to be more modern. Because if you look around at our Pacific Island nations, they're smaller compared to Papua New Guinea. Their GDP is not that high, but they've got some of the best universities fully equipped. So I would say healthcare, of course, jobs, at the same time to the welfare of the people of Papua New Guinea, and education, and of course infrastructure. So these are the main things that we need to improve. And I would throw in a sixth one, which is of course our basic resources such as water and electricity. They need to be improved.
How do you see the role of science, education, and research in PNG's development story since independence in 1975?
It has changed a lot. Imagine in 1975. So I'll just give you a backstory for myself. I come from a family where I'm a first generation, of course, university student. My father was, of course, as a young boy in Pangaea, Southern Highlands, he was educated by American missionaries. But if you look towards the time of my grandparents, which is not many generations, it's just my grandparents, for both my mother and father's side, they were illiterate subsistence farmers. And now, as their granddaughter, I am a scientist and I'm a professor and I have a PhD. So if you see how we have progressed, we've done very well. But I believe that we can do a little bit more. We can do much more better. But looking back, we've come a long way. Our Papua New Guinean engineers are building roads and building bridges and, of course, big, tall buildings. We've got Papua New Guinean pilots flying our planes, and not only at Air New Guinea, but they're flying planes like overseas. And it's incredible, like big Airbuses. It's flown by Papua New Guinean pilots. On top of that, we've got some Papua New Guinean doctors that are operating on people's brains and hearts and doing kidney transplants. We have come, like, we're very smart people, as I mentioned before. So even though, like, if you look back 50 years, like back in our time where, a lot of our, great grandparents, they were subsistence farmers or, just illiterate people, just ordinary people. But looking at just this short time, Papua New Guinea is taken off in the educational realm because we're naturally smart, and it's just that if we're giving the right opportunity, we will just take off. So we've done well in that area, but I believe that we can do more.
Okay, we've just come to the very last part now. Hopes for the next 50 years. As we look forward towards 2075, what kind of Papua New Guinea would you like to see?
Oh, I would love to see a Papua New Guinea that is free from poverty. Free from poverty, people are living comfortably. not suffering, struggling, or trying their best to survive. I would love to see a Papua New Guinea where we don't have children that should be in school begging on the streets. They should all be in school, educated. I would love to see a Papua New Guinea where we've got a strong workforce, a strong educated force. I would love to see a Papua New Guinea where Papua New Guineans shouldn't be having to do medical fundraisings to fly overseas to get treatments. I would love to see a Papua New Guinea where people's mindsets are changed, a cleaner Papua New Guinea, I should say, no chewing or bitter nut or smokes and throwing it away. I would love to see Papua New Guinea, a healthy Papua New Guinea. And at the same time, I'd love to see a Papua New Guinea where our resources, because one thing that we boast about all the time, oh, we are island of gold floating on a sea of oil. But you don't see it outside on the streets, or it doesn't reflect on us. So I would really like to see a Papua New Guinea where our resources are being managed very well and it is going back to our people in an honest and transparent manner where generations are going to, and our children and our children's children, they will live a happy life, instead of all of this suffering, because suffering is something that makes me very sad.
If you could identify 3 priorities for the next 50 years of nationhood, what would they be?
Top 3 priorities: health, education, and of course, taking care of its people. That's all. When I say taking care of its people, I mean that the minimum wage, it seriously needs to come up because there's inflation everywhere. People cannot survive. And because the people cannot surviving, lack of opportunities, lack of employment, that is why we have all of these law and order problems. We've got people that are doing petty crimes, theft, all sorts of things. It's just because we are suffering. There's no money. We are going hungry. So what else can we do to survive? We have to now, of course, turn to the streets. So these 3 things: health, education, and of course the government really taking care of its people.
What advice would you give to young Papua New Guineans, especially young women, about dreaming big and pursuing their goals?
Well, my advice to tell them is that don't worry about the current situations that you face today. Sometimes, of course, we face problems and struggles on a daily basis. Life is not easy. It's not as beautiful as it seems. But I would really encourage them that try your very best. But having a positive mindset is key to all things. A lot of times, we get defeated because of our negative influences, our negative mindset. We look at our circumstances around us, the type of life that we live, and then it just sets us back. Our mindset is already defeated, saying that I can't go and become somebody because look at the house that I'm living in, or look at how my parents are struggling every day. So how am I supposed to go to a big university if I cannot even eat 3 meals a day? Sometimes mindset defeats us, but I would highly, highly, highly try to, of course, enforce that. Please don't have a defeated mindset, because it is easy to be defeated. We are living in a male-dominated society. Life is hard, and there are not many opportunities. Things are just getting tougher and tougher day by day. But I would always encourage them to try your very best, push, persevere, and have a strong, positive mindset. And of course, as a strong Lutheran woman, I would encourage them to put God first in everything that they do, and they will be successful in whatever it is that they put their mind to.
Finally, what is your personal hope or message for Papua New Guinea as we step into the next chapter of our journey?
So I want to say congratulations, Papua New Guinea. We are now going to become 50, and I'm very happy. And my message to Papua New Guinea is, I'm not somebody that is important. I see myself as just an ordinary Papua New Guinean girl. I'm not a prime minister or member of parliament or the governor general. But for me personally, I would say that Papua New Guineans, it is my hope and my prayer that life will get easier. So right now, everybody is struggling. Everybody is suffering. There's so many things going on, but there's always hope for tomorrow. So congratulations. And if we really want to see change, change starts with us, with our mindset, with our attitudes, and at the same time, with how we carry ourselves. But of course, when you look at the bigger picture, it of course the government has to play a role in trying to look into the next chapter of Papua New Guinea, different things. But the thing that I love about Papua New Guinea is that our people are go-getters. We are strong people. Like, we survived thousands of years without technology and all these things, and we lived many years, and we are very, very strong, naturally strong warrior people. So it will get better. It will get better. Even though we have our dark days, it will get better.
Thank you, Dr. Poya.
Thank you so very much.
Just one last thing. Can you just list down some of your major academic achievements?
Oh, major academic achievements. So I've been very blessed by God Almighty. My major academic achievements, I have a Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry from the University of Papua New Guinea. I have a Master's of Science in Inorganic Chemistry with distinction from the Northeast Normal University in the People's Republic of China. I have a PhD in chemistry from the University of Glasgow. I have multiple publications. I have five international awards and a whole bunch of national awards. In terms of other achievements as well, I would say there's a lot of things in the pipeline. So hopefully I would be able to publish them soon, or some of my inventions, put them out. So it would be good and encouraging for our people as well to see that one of their own is out there in the world. Thank you.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
Oh, I love Papua New Guinea. That is all.